Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Best of Three. I'm your host, Efren Salinas, and with me as always is Michael Donkeschiller. Mike, did you see that video that just played about Killer Instinct?
I did see it, but I could not hear it.
I know you couldn't hear it, but let me tell you what it was about. It was about none other than our friend of the show, Brandon the Odin son, Alexander. You know, we shot a bunch of stuff at Killer Instinct World Cup, and it took me a while, but now that Season 3 is out, I figured let's bust out all these videos. And that one was actually going to be the surprise video that I was going to save for last because it was about Brandon, and I wanted him to enjoy that heartfelt interviews about how great he is. But I figured I would play that one first, and next week we'll have one about the Killer Instinct World Cup moving forward. All right.
Of course.
Go ahead.
KI is out on the Windows Store now, the Microsoft Store. Just came out with Season 3. You can buy it all for, I believe, $50 on PC or $60 on Xbox One for everything.
For everything.
But the game is free to play with like a rotating set of free characters, kind of like
I've been seeing a ton of people tweeting about it saying, why haven't I been playing this game? The answer is because it was only on Xbox One. But plenty of love to the Killer Instinct guys and the game. You guys should check it out, especially if it's free. What excuse do you have? All right. You're watching Best of 3, and if you've never seen it before, this is basically how it runs. We have a panel where we talk to our illustrious co-hosts and generous thought contributors here. Steve, Ace King Offsuit Jurek. Steve, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, from Event Hubs, Mount Event Hubs, John Velociraptor Guerrero. Hey, John.
Was that Mount Event Hubs? That's awesome.
That was kind of like a Mount Olympus type of joke I was trying to make, but thank you for coming down from on high. Guys, tonight we're going to talk about a couple of things. Let me preview that for you. Hypespotting, Capcom Pro Tour goodness. Street Fighter 5.
Did you get to spot that hype, or was there some issues there?
We'll talk about Top 32 in a second. 2. Broken stuff in Street Fighter 5. You're going to break down some of the stuff that's been found that's a little wonky, that doesn't make sense necessarily. We'll try to make sense of it. And 3, I don't know if you guys heard that Tespa West, and if you're not familiar with Tespa, we'll talk about that later as well, threw a fighting games tournament at the Esports Arena, and we're going to talk about the intersection of FGC, Esports, and the collegiate scene. I think there's stuff to talk about there. So, why don't we get started with Hypespotting, and I'm going to hand it over to my good friend Steve Ace King Offsuit Jurek to kick us off. What happened this weekend at Hypespotting, Steve?
Well, do we want to start with the good news or the bad news?
I'll let you decide.
All right. Well, let's start with the good news. It was a good amount of action we saw. Good amount of action we didn't see, but we'll get to that in a bit. But coming into the tournament, the story was Problem X. He was the guy who was winning almost everything in London. Could he continue that run? The answer was yes. He ended up winning the tournament, took it all the way through the winner's bracket. He beat Luffy on his way there. He beat Brian, who had an amazing weekend out of Scotland trying to represent that scene. So Problem X took it. Luffy took second, which really good result for him because he had been struggling throughout the first month or so of the game, not quite reaching the heights he did in Ultra yet. So maybe this is kind of where he starts to turn the corner. Brian, like I said, a player from Scotland, ended up taking third. He had some really, really good stuff all weekend. And then Valmast, who was struggling just like Luffy was, ended up taking fourth. So
it was an exciting tournament. I want to apologize to our audience. We have footage pulled here to like we usually do. Unfortunately, we have a couple of wires crossed down here, and we can't get the feed, so we won't be able to cut away to this awesome footage. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to say that I totally forgot to say that we have Gootecks on the show, and he'll be joining us later. But you were saying, Problem X won it. There was some hype matches there. I mean, it was exciting. You saw potentially characters that we've seen before, but not used in the same way. You got different. The European scene plays in the Kali better, different than the American scene plays in the Kali, for example. I'm sorry, I was interrupting. You were saying, Steve.
Oh no, it's no problem. I think what the interesting thing is, coming into the game, we were wondering what new faces are going to be on the rise. Who is going to step up and kind of overtake the old Street Fighter 4 players? And this weekend, the 3 people from Europe who qualified for Capcom Cup last year, they ended up taking 3 of the top 4 spots. So we're seeing that here in the U.S. We're seeing that in Europe, where a lot of the people who were doing well before continue to do well. So this idea that people were relying on gimmicks, that they were relying on the mechanics of Street Fighter 4 and not necessarily being a great fighting game player, that's sort of falling to the wayside right now.
You're referring to people saying that Luffy was only good because he used Rose.
Luffy especially was a common target for that, saying, oh, he's only good because he has invincible backdash. He's only good because he has FADC. We're finding out, no, he's actually still pretty good.
Now he used Mika. Does that open him up for criticism again?
Look, I don't think that anyone, like, Mika is obviously a very strong character, but I don't think any one character is so strong that we have to say, oh, it's obviously just because of them. It's a very different style, His Rose was very, very defensive, very, very, I don't want to say passive, but he was about dictating the terms of the fight at a very slow pace. Now he's very much in your face, going for that mix-up, going for that nasty stuff. So we're seeing that, hey, he doesn't just play defensively. He just plays well no matter what.
Yeah, it was kind of a shocking transition, I think, for a lot of people to see him play that. I guess the big, thing that brings together Mika and Rose is kind of how annoying they are to fight and how much pace of the match they control, as Steve said, Rose defensively and Mika offensively.
From what you've seen so far, do you think that players who were really good in 4 and then switched over to a game that didn't have their character, that they're trying to find a character similar to Rose or a character that lets them play the way they want to play? How does that usually play out in your opinion?
I think the game itself, and despite the fact that the results have been similar, and that's mostly because these people are good fighting game players, is different enough that I think that's not necessarily a great idea. And I don't even think going from the same character you played in Street Fighter 4 to the same character you played in Street Fighter 5 is necessarily the best idea. I don't know if we've seen anyone switch yet when their character was in 4 and in 5 and they switched to a different one, but it doesn't quite work that way. I know Phenom was talking about not playing Bison anymore, switching to Kali. I think he hasn't, but I mean, yeah, I don't think that the one-to-one comparison is there enough that it should totally dictate what you do.
Speaking of Bison, Problem X took it with Bison, and man, does that character look scary. John, did you catch any of the top 8 for Hypespotting and even the grand finals?
That was mostly what I did catch of Hypespotting. And yes, Bison has been a character that a lot of people, at first, they were like, he's great, he's awesome, he's amazing, he's the dictator we've always been truly afraid of. And then more recently, he's fallen off on a lot of people's tier lists, if you will, and such. But with the way Problem X was using him, he was just absolutely dominating. And I think that the performances like that are where they're going to propel characters back up, in the public eye. And that's really what we saw for Bison this past weekend.
This ongoing criticism that Mika is the dumb character, right? And you hear that said a lot. Is that fair, man?
I mean, yeah, it's totally fair. She's a
God damn,
ridiculous character. Like, all of her combos, and throws and grabs and V reversal leave you in a very specific situation where she's like +2 or +3 and gets to meet you with another command grab. So yeah, she's very straightforward, and in a lot of ways, yeah, she's kind of mindless. But I mean, she's definitely still a character that requires a lot of skill to get in with and stay in with. So I mean, to say that someone's winning solely based on the character is kind of ridiculous, as it always has been in pretty much any game.
Guys,
but she's dumb. Yeah, she's definitely dumb.
Aside from the obvious hype, and there was some exciting matches there, and it was good to see Valmaster and all these guys playing, and a couple of new faces that I wasn't familiar with. That was the part you could watch. Steve, I'm going to hand it over to you again, buddy. What happened at Hypespotting? You wrote about this, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. Unfortunately, how many times do we say internet at venues has been a problem for... It just seems it's cursed for FGC events. They plan to have 5 streams throughout the weekend. The internet could only handle 2. So they had to cut a lot of the stuff that they were planning to stream on Saturday and Sunday. And one of those things that they cut was Street Fighter Top 32.
Oy.
Unfortunately, they didn't say this on the stream until after either it had finished or it had almost finished off stream. So a lot of people were upset about that. The organizers kind of tweeted out saying, well, if you want to see it, be sure to come here next year. And that really didn't go over too well in the Twitterverse.
What kind of argument is that? They're in Europe. I'm in America. I'm going to fly there just to watch. I don't know. But
and it's a Capcom Pro Tour event. People are interested. I get it, right? It's like free entertainment, but I'm sitting there. I take ad block off. I watch with the ads, you know?
Wow, what a soldier you are. You're a real good guy, Efren.
I mean, it's important, right? It's like because I'm getting entertainment for free. All I need to do is click a couple buttons. The least I can do is sit through some ads, right? I'll do my part and watch those ads. If you do your part and stream the damn tournament. Top 32 of a Capcom Pro Tour event in Europe where we haven't seen one European event except for the first one. It was frustrating. Steve,
let me counter with this a little bit. You know, obviously a lot of people were interested in the Capcom Pro Tour part of it, but they ran 14 other games that weekend. Do you think that, you know, should a tournament prioritize, you know, its more popular game over finals of other games? You know, I feel like personally, I don't know. I know they streamed some pool action for Smash. I don't know if that was what took the place of Top 32 or what, but I personally believe that, you know, a finals for any game should take priority over pools or semifinals. You know, I would prefer to watch Street Fighter V, but if an event like a Combo Breaker or a East Coast Throwdown or a Winter Brawl, a game that a tournament that has multiple games and means a lot to multiple scenes, you know, you got to show those other scenes some love too.
No, and I don't disagree with that. I just think the excuse was a little, I don't know, out of line. But
yeah,
John,
it's like if you wanted to watch it, you should have been here. Come on, dude. All right, what else you got, John? What do you got about Hypespotting here? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I disagree with if something like this happens that you just put on, well, I guess that you carry it out like they did. I think given the fact that Street Fighter V is the focus of the Pro Tour, there is as much hype as there is, and we know that there's as much of an audience as there is for Street Fighter V. If you have to pick and choose, you have to go for Street Fighter V. Like, you don't really have a choice there. And what I would imagine happened is, like, you run into technical difficulties and you go into a scramble and you have to just make this sudden decision, and it may be like they made the wrong decision. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, it's pretty important that you put your strongest foot forward there, and no disrespect to any other community, no disrespect to any other game. It's just that's kind of how things are right now, and if you know, that's probably the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
It makes perfect sense. And again, we last week when was it 2 weeks ago when we had we were talking to TOs, and I think Lapchi was in the chat saying these guys don't know how hard it is to run a tournament. Okay, fine. I believe you, right? Like, that is legitimate, that this is very difficult to do, and the logistics on the ground, and situations can arise. But this is Street Fighter V, this is the Capcom Pro Tour. These are things that you would hope would start to iron themselves out. It's one of those, are we ready for primetime things? And it's a bad look, in my opinion. And I would like to see it not happen anymore. Anybody else have a final thought on that before we move on to this crazy stuff? Oh, we're never going to be able to see the damn Street Fighter V stuff that we were going to show, but we can talk about some of the things, I guess. Anyway, gentlemen. John, you're good. Steve, you're good.
I just want to see, because this weekend we're going into Brazil for Jam Fest, and I know that Justin Wong's going to go down there as well as K-Brad. So what I want to see this weekend is this going to be the start of a pattern? Are we going to see some of these players from America and Europe and Asia go to these Latin American events? Because that's really seen as the weaker of the four regions, you know, fairly or unfairly. So I'm interested to see if this is just sort of a one-time thing or the start of something we'll see all year.
All right, gentlemen, that was Hypespotting. We're going to save all this broken Street Fighter V tech that Danke had prepared to talk about. There's some weird stuff going on with, like, proximity things.
I mean, we can talk about the basis of it. Essentially, there's been a lot of footage released over the past week or so about different stuff. It started off with, as John explained on the show last week, like jumping out of throws with fuzzy jumps, and then there was the making special moves more throw invincible by TKing them. This week we have throw storing.
Explain
which
that
is
to me.
essentially when you're landing from a jump attack or when you are during the last frames of blocking, like I believe it's the last frame or two specifically, if you're to input a throw tech, you'll get the tech if they throw, but nothing if they don't. And this is actually like a lot of the stuff in this game so far I've thought has been a lot less consequential than people have said. This is actually kind of ridiculous because you're just getting an absolutely free throw tech attempt after landing. Now, I don't know exactly how hard it is. I haven't gotten to training mode it myself, but it's been consistently set up in training mode, and at least it's possible.
The one thing you did do before the show that you were just testing out here a second ago was this Mika stuff where the proximity at which she can grab you seems really different when you're in the corner, either corner, if I'm not mistaken.
So with this one, our Mika, during her super flash, I mean, she does her grab. Her super itself is a grab. It's a 3-frame grab where she dashes forward a little bit and attacks you. It looks as though she goes a short range, but what's actually happening is during the flash, she'll walk backwards a bunch, and then after it comes out, she flies forward. So it's, kind of a 2 steps back, 3 steps forward kind of thing. Mm-hmm. However, in the corner, she can't walk backwards, so she ends up just going 3 times as far as she normally does. And I think a lot of people thought this wasn't that relevant, but what I actually found out, and I'm sure other people have as well, Zangief's Iron Cyclone, his V-Trigger, the level 2 and 3 versions are -3. Mm-hmm. Mid-screen, you actually cannot punish this with Mika Super despite it being 3 frames, but if your back is to the corner, you can do the increased forward distance. Yet again, I wish we could show the clip, but
yeah, and
that's
I mean,
about how it works.
that what do you think? That needs to be patched?
I think the Mika thing is just kind of a funny coincidence, and I personally don't think that needs to be patched. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in the game that's a little goofy. The throw storing is something that they clearly don't want in the game. They just did a patch where they took out the ability to tech as an option select from a normal. So I think if they get the chance to do this again, that'd be the nice kind of thing to fix. It definitely goes against the philosophy they have where a throw tech is like a throw tech. You're going to whiff a throw if you miss it. So, I mean, it'd be nice. But yet again, I think some of the stuff coming out has been a little more situational than people have realized. And it's been a lot of quick, blow the air horns. This game sucks. Which it doesn't.
It doesn't. It's a great game. I've been enjoying it myself. All right, guys. Go ahead. Let's hear it, Steve.
How much of that air blowing do you think is because so much of the build-up to the game is about removing those option selects and those proximity, those things that were, sort of cheating the system,
Totally, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I mean, they should probably, based on what they've been going for, try to remove as much of that as possible. But I mean, you do have to realize that at some point, these things have been in every game in some level. And blockables are just a fact of the matter of how systems of blocking work. You walk forward a frame, you block, etc. So I mean, I think they're doing a good job trying at the very least.
Yeah. I sometimes do think to myself, it's like, man, you make fun of me for saying I have heartburn every time something goes wrong. Like, how do the Capcom guys feel when stuff like this is coming out? They're like, oh, no. Anyway.
The discussion that I think also comes from that, and I'm sure people can chime in, is the idea that this has all been this sharing tech thing. Eduardo said, I remember when he was playing versus Magneto 1080p, a local Austinite, right after he did a meaty super that Jarrett Magneto tried to DP out of, he called over, you can't do that. He straight up told him during the match, during a Capcom Pro Tour match. And he once released an article about sharing tech, and VSVSVS, the Twitter handle of a guy who found some of this tech, said that the reason he shares it is to show that it's broken and that Capcom will fix it. Mm-hmm. But Shian, on the other hand, said he only shares tech with his local players. So it's been a big kind of argument as recent times have passed on Twitter.
Got to get in that Discord chat if you want the inside info. Whatever. The tech is out there. I've seen you sit there, grind it out yourself. If not, you can look. They're resources.
I love when people post it because it gives you the opportunity to play with it yourself. Every single tidbit of information you get is probably something that leads to a little more.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on to our last topic before we bring on, as people are saying in here, the God Gootecks. And we're going to talk about this. Over the weekend, there's an organization by the name of TESPA, which I'm going to tell you what they're all about in a second. They hosted a tournament at the Esports Arena. If you're familiar with Wednesday Night Fights, it's the same venue. If I'm not mistaken, Alex Valle and Level Up Series helped in that production. TESPA started off as the Texas Esports Association. It was founded at UT here in Austin, Texas. Tip of the hat to those guys. And now it has spread all across the country, and it's the Esports Association, TESPA. I have for a long time thought, and I witnessed it, these were esports events. We're talking League of Legends and StarCraft at the time and things of that nature. the power of pitting different college campuses against each other. I mean, you have that built-in rivalry. You see, I'd never seen it in fighting games. TESPA West finally did that. I think it's great. The conversation that I have for you gentlemen that I'd like to bring up is exploiting that college rivalry. Is that an avenue that isn't seen enough? John, I'm going to kick it off with you, buddy.
I would love to see that kind of a thing come to fruition in the FGC specifically. Like you said, the built-in rivalries already, and the way people can get behind colleges because they already represent such a like a home feel for so many people. You know, like, oh, I went to that college, or oh, that was that was my team back when I was living at home or whatever. People can really get behind that kind of a thing. And so if we were able to implement some kind of, create like a league where colleges, battle it out, it's already a tried and true process. We see that with sports and in no small way. So I don't know how quickly we could actually make something like that happen specifically in the fighting games realm, because we're definitely growing, but at the same time, we're not as big as some of the MOBAs and the first person shooters or gun games, like I like to call them now. I really think that if we were able to harness that kind of a thing, oh my gosh, it would be great. It would take the scene forward leaps and bounds. So yeah, I'm all for it if we can pull it off.
And I would argue that some of the popularity of games like League of Legends was because they spread on college campuses, and it's kind of like they were onto it first to a degree.
I mean, I met Rylander, Delbuster, a couple of the guys that I play with locally at UT through TESPA, actually, specifically. So, I mean, whether or not it becomes a major competition, the idea of finding fighting gamers at your college, it isn't just some ghetto Facebook group you set up yourself. It's a pretty big deal that I think could be, the future, as John said.
You're seeing college campuses now start to have their League of Legends programs, a scholarship to play League of Legends, an official university-sanctioned team of League of Legends with coaches that are coming in that used to be part of traditional athletics. It's not far-fetched to say that this is going to start to happen more because we're seeing it increase. I don't see it happening for fighting games just yet, but why not, right? Like, if you're doing League of Legends, potentially in the future doing Counter-Strike or other games, why not fighting games? Steve, you wanted to talk about the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, first of all, Gamer Till Death is going to kill us if I don't say this, but we already have seen this in Smash with the Melee games, where they have teams based out of colleges that compete. So shout-outs to him. I was going to bring it up anyway, but shout-outs to you. What I'm thinking here is that, we are going to see an increase in these sort of collegiate teams because it makes sense. Esports as a whole, fighting games as a whole, growing in popularity, especially among college-age people. What I wonder about is, are we going to see these big college competitions to the scale that we do in other sports? I don't know. Because if you're a fighting game fan, you already have, the Capcom Pro Tour. You already have ESL. If you're a fan of League, you already have a Pro League to aspire to get to. That infrastructure is already in place. So is this, is TESPA and other organizations, are they going to be sort of just another esports organization with this extra hook that they have college teams? Or does this thing actually blow up and we have, serious intercollegiate competition? If it does, I think the only group that can really get into that and has the infrastructure is the NCAA, and I'm not sure they're going to. So I think we will just see it be sort of like, oh, it's a nice thing, but I don't know if it will ever be the thing in terms of college.
Well, the way I see it, and this is maybe getting a little too pie in the sky, but the TESPA started off as basically like your chess club on campus, right? That equivalent. People of like-minded interests that showed up and were interested in esports. And it grew and grew and grew and grew. And they have thrown standalone tournaments. In Texas, the Lone Star Clash 1 through 3. Now we saw the one at the esports arena was the Collegiate Coliseum, if I'm not mistaken. The idea is, and again, I had an opportunity to talk to these guys when they were early on in the TESPA life cycle here, And they're like, college is the first step. We're going to go to high schools next. What I'm seeing, and this again is the pie in sky part, is that it's kind of a culture shift where we start to actually move away from traditional sports at a younger age because of organizations like this. And that we had a guy in the chat saying, hey, you can't be focusing on anything but your education in college unless it's sports, because there's money in sports. There's no money in esports yet to that degree.
I mean, the big thing, and where I definitely agree with Steve, is the idea, and this might be going off a little bit on a tangent, that these pro leagues aren't limited by age whatsoever. And whereas in a lot of professional sports, like, they won't take you unless you've done at least 1 year of college, or only the absolute elite of the elite can possibly get drafted without playing in college. It doesn't seem like there's much of a reason to play for your college if you're any good, as opposed to, just joining some team or being Sonic Fox and winning all the pots. So are they going to let those people in the college games? If they do, are they going to be as serious? I think that the idea of a college tournament being serious enough in these esports for people to really follow them that aren't playing on the teams or part of the school is a ways away, for sure. But I think the idea of having your college gaming club or having your college group of friends watch that tournament and how big of an audience that is definitely there. So whether or not it becomes, the next college football, probably not, just based on the not just size of esports, but the infrastructure. But I think it could be a huge audience within the colleges themselves.
I'd love to see what they come up with. John, Steve, any final thoughts on the topic of exploiting that collegiate angle? I mean, UT versus A&M, team versus team, I would watch that. John, what you got, buddy?
Well, I mean, going off of what Steve was saying earlier, I wonder if maybe I'm just not understanding it completely right, but would there be like the possibility of a similarity that we have in like the parallel tracks of having the NFL as our big main what's already established track, and then like the college track where you have plenty of other stuff going on, but it's specifically within the colleges, and you have your professional leagues, then you have your college leagues, and that works in the established sports of today and of a long time past. Do you think that with what you were saying earlier that we could have that with video games, or is that not even at all what you were talking about?
That is.
I don't.
I'm sorry, Steve. I want to take this for a second. I am basically saying that it would be a separate track. But if you'll notice, if you saw the tournament, and if we could pull footage with you, and we apologize again for that, you'd be able to see that the people who won were your Chris Tatarians, your Mike Elnaugh, and these other guys that are already established and known in the FGC. It just so happens that they're also in college, right? So the question would be for me, is there more talent there that you would start to see come out of that pool? We would see. I don't know. Steve, I cut you off.
I was going to say, I don't think we will see that, two-track system, because if you look back at the history of sports in this country, NCAA was first. Maybe not necessarily in the form of the NCAA itself, but collegiate sports were the pinnacle for a long time. And then we had the professional leagues come in after that. So it was easy to, establish something as entertainment at the college level and then build a professional level on top of that. I don't know if you can necessarily do that in reverse, because you already have basically the professional level there. And to try and introduce this sort of amateur second level sort of thing, even with the tie-in of colleges, I don't know if that's really going to be successful or really going to catch on a wider scale. I think it might, I think a best case scenario for this could be sort of like gymnastics at the college level, or some of these other smaller sports, these non-income sports where it matters a lot at a few select schools or in a couple of regions, but not necessarily across the country like college basketball or college football.
Well, there you have it. In a short while, we're going to bring on Professor Gootecks. He's going to make you buy his books for his courses at Street Fighter V College. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for the panel. Did we miss anything, John, before we let you go?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Steve, what you got, buddy?
Tekken Crash this weekend. If you want to watch some Korean TV with some great Street Fighter players, including Infiltration, Gen, all those guys. That's going to be the hot spot. And Jam Fest in Brazil for our CPT.
Absolutely, and that's just a regular CPT ranking event, right? That's not Premier?
That is correct.
All right, well, we'll be checking that out. Now, for our audience at home, enjoy this Michael Donka Schiller Alex Tech video while we bring on Lord Gootecks. Welcome back to the show. Did you guys enjoy that Danke
You're asking
tech
me
video?
if I enjoyed my own tech video?
I'm pointing at you because you created the tech
I
video.
thought it was pretty dank.
But I'm asking. Did you enjoy doing that? What do you think about it so far?
I think Alex is cool, and I reserve any judgment past that. I think he could be okay. I think he has obvious problems and obvious huge damage. So putting it together is what's going to need to happen. But I don't know where his tier is. I can't begin to say that.
We'll have to wait and see what happens with Alex. In the meantime, we are now joined by Ryan Gootecks Gutierrez. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. How you guys doing?
You know, the last time you were on, it was like some weird spin-off show that we were doing where we were just doing interviews, and it was called, I think, Player One or something. This is the first time that you grace Best of Three, though, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for having
it looks like behind you there is the set to Excellent Adventures. Is that right?
That's not a set. This is just where I live.
The life of a true star.
But I guess you could call it the set.
That's the set, man. That's where the magic happens there.
The thing is, the couch used to be in the living room, and then I don't know. I was just tired of people like coming to my place and then like not sitting on the couch. I'm like, is there something wrong with this couch? And then I don't know. It's really uncomfortable to sleep on, so I just moved it in here, so now it actually is the set, which I don't know. Don't tell anybody, guys. This is just this is pretty much only used when we're shooting.
It's
or
just a shitty couch for Mike, like whatever. It's just
I know, right?
Well, Ryan, we have a couple of things we want to talk to you about. Starting off, over the weekend, I saw you teaching people how to play at Wizard World.
That's right.
Before we get into that, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, we had Alex Valle, and one of the things he was talking about with regards to spreading the FGC word, right, the gospel, was specifically going to Comic-Cons and conventions of that type. Did you guys have that same conversation, or is this, how did that come about? And then we'll talk about the specifics of what you actually did there.
You know, I don't know if I don't know if we had a conversation specifically about that, but I think that's definitely something that, I think both myself and Alex and a lot of other, fighting game veterans see as something that's the next logical progression, right? In order to really have our scene grow, we need to make sure that we provide the resources and tools that we can in order to help people that want to improve and want to get better, at least reach a level. Not everybody's going to be winning Evo or is going to be the next Justin Wong or Daigo. But for most people, it's just like, okay, well, how do I do better online? How do I be the best out of my friends? So, training people, whether it's, through content or in person, that's the type of stuff where, to me, there's like a lot of value to be added.
You talk about value, and I said I wanted to ask you about the particulars of Wizard World, but a friend of mine who always gives me stuff, he's like, dude, you got to ask Gootecks about this. He always has something to say about our guests, was asking specifically about that. How much, you've never given me any figures, but I asked you once, all the fighting game media that you produce, that's enough to live off of? And you said, yeah, I live off of it. But the idea is like, how many views do you need to get? How many connections do you need to make? How much work actually goes into it? And of course I'm saying this because people might be saying, how do I get in on that Gootecks magic, right?
How many Alex Tech videos can I make into Gootecks?
But the question is like the financial side of it. Like how much do you have to hustle? People have called you a hustler in the past before, and I think they mean that in a good way, and I do as well.
That's a good question. I guess it just depends on your approach. So, for example, a lot of people think that YouTube ad revenue is like the holy grail of all ways to monetize. And it could be, but I think if we're talking about fighting games in particular, you could make Alex Tech videos until the end of time and still always have it feel like a struggle. So for me, my approach has always been, well, how do I create a well-rounded business that has multiple revenue streams, that is not solely dependent on any one avenue, right? Because either you're in a niche that's not super popular, such as fighting games, or maybe if you were in something that was more broad, like fitness or cooking or makeup, maybe it's easier to build an audience there. But for us, it's always been like, well, since our audience is small to begin with, we have to think creatively and think of other ways to build up, the business. So, for example, we have YouTube ad revenue, we have the subscription site, ebooks, merchandise, sponsorships, and then events, and then services like training. So it's not so much like, okay, well, how do I get from like 100 views to 1,000 views? Like, that's not going to solve your problem. What's gonna and the other thing is that it takes forever. I mean, I've been doing this since like 2006, starting with just audio podcasts, I guess, and here we are in 2016, and it's only been in the past couple of years that I don't feel like, oh, this is like really soul crushing and hopeless, So it just definitely takes a while, but it just kind of depends on like how you leverage all your content or all the stuff that you do properly, as opposed to just focusing on just making videos and trying to collect, YouTube ad revenue.
Now, I mean, in addition to that, you mentioned training, and clearly you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, but a lot of people have brought up, the $100 price tag on training with Gootecks. Can you possibly explain that to people who are wondering, what merits a good coach? What type of people are you coaching, and what are you?
What am I getting for my
offering
$100?
For $100, yeah.
So just to, I guess, give some background on our training sessions, myself, as well as a slew of other fighting game veterans such as Justin Wong, K-Bread, Ricky Ortiz, Flo, Alex Myers, Broly. I mean, and now we just added Cien to the roster as well.
Oh, wow.
We offer personal training for players of all skill levels who want to get better. So the way that I do my sessions is, well, I mean, everybody does it very similarly, right? Call them on Skype, ask the student, okay, what is your experience level? What are your goals? Where are you from? What are you trying to get out of this? And then through doing that, you can kind of tailor, the coaching that you provide. So in Street Fighter 4, it was a little bit different because there was online training mode. So you could just, I would play like a match or two to gauge their skill level, and then usually we go into online training mode, and then, give them some stuff to work on. So the way that I do it is at the end of it, I have notes from the session, as well as homework, actionable items that I give my students, so that they have stuff to work on between now and the next session. Now with Street Fighter 5, it's a little bit different because there's no online training mode, but it's actually faster to do a battle lounge and then just rematch. Or what I did last time with the last guy I had was that, for some guys, it's not really useful, in my opinion, to just like play games. It's more useful to use that time to say, okay, well, here's a problem that I noticed that you have, like, for example, teching throws or not being able to anti-air. Okay, so what I do is I load up XSplit, and then I stream through Skype for them, and then show them how to solve their problems in training mode. So that's kind of like just to give everybody kind of like the the foundation of how I do my sessions. Now, to talk about like $100 an hour, it's like, okay, well, when I was less expensive, like, for example, I didn't, just so we're all on the same page, like, I didn't start this because I wanted to train people. I wanted to start this because I wanted to provide a resource for other people to gain access to, fighting game veterans. So my intention was not to train people personally, but there was one guy on Twitter that kept asking me for third strike training. I'm like, dude, fine. If you want to pay me $50 an hour to teach you how to play third strike, like, fine, I'll do it. And I enjoy it, obviously, because, education is something that I'm very passionate about. But I found that over time, as I accumulated more and more students, I was spending a lot of my time explaining the same things and same concepts to guys that were at a very low beginner level. And that's not a knock to them, that's just like an observation. So I was like, okay, well, instead of me sitting here with all these guys all the time explaining the same things, why don't I just put this into something that could be easily distributed, that was cheaper, where I could reach more people? And that's how the first book came about. And then obviously, like, it was successful, and that's why I did a second book. So, like, for me, I see it as like, okay, well, I like the writing process, I guess. It's more efficient. So I but at the same time, like if somebody really wants, personal training from Gootecks, like that's fine. Go ahead and book. But the other thing is that if Gootecks is $100 an hour, then isn't Justin Wong a deal at 50? Right? Like, why would you even? I kind of position it like, okay, well, like I'm expensive, so these other guys should. To somebody who's like actively looking at all the trainers, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna. Well, like, what's Gootecks done? Like, I'm not going to train with him. Let me train with Justin or Ricky or Flo or, any of these other guys because, that's the way I see it. The other reason that I do it is because and this is the part that I don't like to talk about, but I guess for anybody that really cares, because for some reason, like, $100 an hour sounds really bad, but that sounds really bad if you yourself are in the struggle. And trust me, I know how it feels, but it's very easy to hate on. But that's okay. But the other reason why I do that is so that when I'm doing contract gigs, I can say, hey, look, I charge $100 an hour. So whenever a company or whoever comes in and wants to, and we don't see eye to eye on pricing, I can say, look, like this is how I calculate my rate because this is what I make when I'm training people. And then we take it from there. So like, cat's out of the bag. Gootecks doesn't actually want to like train a ton of people, but that's the idea. Like everybody else is a deal compared to me.
Totally. But I mean, one question there is, and you don't have to name any names, obviously, I'm sure everyone on your staff is really good at it. Obviously, coaching isn't directly correlated with how good you are. I mean, some people are extremely good and can't convey exactly, how to play the game. Have you seen that happen? Have you talked to top players who wanted to coach that just weren't good at it? I mean, do you think that there's value in you coaching over Justin Wong specifically? Stuff like that. Maybe not Justin, but just, top player X.
That's totally true. That there are some guys who are better at playing the game than they are at showing somebody else how to play the game. I mean, me personally, I think I'm pretty good at it. So maybe I'm a better coach than I am a player. I don't know. But that's definitely true. But I think that right now with our current roster, everybody that we have has a lot of experience, both in the game and coaching people. And like, I'm totally confident that everybody on our roster is more than capable of training people of all different skill levels. And the other thing is that most of the guys that we get are either they have like a good job, so they don't have a lot of time to like sit there. Like when we were younger, right? When you're in your late teens, early 20s, maybe you're in school or something, like you got a lot of time to play, right? This is not really, even though we do have some students that are in school, like this is not really for those guys. This is for guys who like make good money in the same way. I mean, think about it, right? Like if you spend 40 hours a week at your job and you make like really good money and then you come home and you get bodied online, like that sucks, right? So in the same way that guys pay for like, golf lessons or, I mean, there's a million things that you could pay for somebody to help you out with, right? So fighting games is just one of them. And now when we look at the growth of esports at the collegiate level with the UC Irvine announcement and all that stuff, it's like, okay, well, maybe there's something here. We were just kind of the first ones to really offer it the way that we do it.
Now, Ryan, as far as I'm concerned, is anybody to judge how anybody else spends their damn money? If they want to spend $100 on a Gootecks lesson, then more power to them.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like I get students. I mean, I'm sorry if it makes you feel. I'm sorry if it upsets you, but I think it's less about me making money and more about you not making money. Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. So, but it's a touchy subject. But hey, I guess that's why we're here, right?
Exactly. Now that was kind of an aside, and let's take it back to Wizard World. The private lessons are people who know what they want, know what they're getting, and seek you out directly. At Wizard World, I was watching the stream, and you were telling somebody, after you do Cammy spin knuckle, then do crouch light punch, and that'll be your first combo, basically, right? I mean, you were literally breaking it down. My question is, what was the reception there? How did you think it went?
I think it went pretty good. I mean, this was the second time that we did it. The first one was at Wizard World Portland. That one wasn't streamed. So this time they wanted us on stream, so we adjusted the format a little bit. And then basically we brought everybody who was interested up on stage with us, and then They played a game or two with Justin. We would then watch. Sometimes we would watch the replay of the match, and then sometimes we would take them into training mode. And we had people of all skill levels. There was one guy who was playing Nash. I think his name was Mike, and he made it into top 8. So he was definitely on the higher echelon of the skill level of the people that we work with. And then there was one girl. I think her name was Sammy. I think, and she was a PC player, and she was barely getting started. But see, that's the thing. Like, we're there to provide a service, not just for those people that were there, but also for the people at home. I mean, those of us that are like fighting game enthusiasts that have been playing for a long time, we forget, hey, not everybody knows. Like, not everybody's been playing for years. Some people are just starting, and like those are the people that I think are the vast majority of people. I think a lot of people that were watching our stream, I think a lot of them run into the same issues or on a similar skill level as a lot of the people that we work with. So I think there's a lot of value there.
Ryan, I remember here in Austin about 3 years ago at Rooster Teeth Expo, there was a fighting game tournament on the main stage, and it was packed, and there was a lot of people going nuts in the crowd, and the game was Dive Kick. You won that. Yeah, Danke won that tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Now, why do I bring that up? That game, yes, everybody makes the argument. Fighting games, you just got to look, and I get it. Oh, this guy's beating this guy, and his life bar's going down. Dive Kick really simplifies it, and you can get in extremely easy. Mm-hmm. Does Street Fighter, does it have to be a dive kick to have that mass appeal, or do you think Street Fighter V was being picked up and were people being turned off by it? Were people getting it? It's like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm finally getting a chance to it being like spoon-fed to me how to play this game.
I think that the learning curve for probably every fighting game except for Dive Kick is pretty steep. So I think that, but just because it's steep doesn't mean that a little bit can't go a long way, right? If you're just starting and you're hitting buttons on wake up, or you're just holding up or whatever, maybe somebody never told you, hey, just hold down back to block on wake up, and then you might be like, wow, like I never thought about that, and now you've like gone from you've instantly leveled up from like level 1 to level 2. So even though there is a higher learning curve, I think that the mass appeal of most fighting games stretches much further than the people who are actually willing to put the time into playing. Just in the same way that a lot of people, or I would say most people, the vast majority of people who watch, MMA or boxing or wrestling have never been in like an organized fight. But just because you haven't trained yourself to fight on a professional or amateur level doesn't mean that you don't enjoy watching it.
This all leads to a question that I just personally had as a thought, which is there's obviously the training of these players. One question I have, and I see this, playing at the arcade, you have a lot of super new guys try to play against you, and obviously they can't learn much from that just on a base level. Where is the future for matchmaking of low-level players and having low-level players fight other low-level players to get better at the game? That's what I've always been thinking, like, why can't I send, Scrub 1 to fight Scrub 2? And I'm sure you have an opinion on this.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've all played games with somebody who was way better. And you're just like, man, I'm not even I don't even know what I don't know right now. And then you fight somebody who's way beneath your level, and you're just like, oh man, just wake me when it's done. So I think that there is a lot of value in matching players of similar skill levels. I think Street Fighter V has done a better job of Street Fighter 4 in the sense that, there's like multiple different league segments and rankings. So usually, and I might be wrong on this, but usually like somebody who's like on the rookie level is not necessarily going to be paired with somebody who's platinum. So I think that as the game evolves, the matchmaking will get a little bit more refined. I think it's I heard somewhere that, and maybe I'm just making this up, but that Blizzard sets up their BattleNet matchmaking so that you win about half of the time. So if you as a new player, if you as a new player can win like 50% of your matches because you're paired with guys that are, just starting out, I think that goes a long way. That goes much further than, playing somebody who's been playing for years and just getting stomped and not even feeling like this was a worthwhile investment of your time, because the mountain just seems too high to climb.
That makes sense. Speaking of that mountain to climb, you got to take that first step, right? You have a new book out. It's still fresh. It's been out for a little while. Can you remind us of the name of your second book?
Yeah, the book is called Fighting Game Fundamentals. It's available on Amazon Kindle. A lot of people think that if you don't have a Kindle device that you can't read Kindle books. In fact, there's a Kindle app for every platform and device that you would possibly be reading it on. So it's available now, and it was the same as the first book, in the sense that it was free for the first couple of days, and then now it's not. But if you were a Kindle Unlimited member, which is like Netflix for books, then it's still free. But basically, the book is called Fighting Game Fundamentals, and it's just about learning the key elements of how to train in Street Fighter V and other games. And it also includes the part that I found most interesting, which is the training mode handbook as like a bonus. And so that's for like more, I mean, look, the book is for like newer to like beginner level players, but then the training mode handbook is actually quite useful in my opinion for like intermediate players, because it gives you a bunch of exercises that you can use in training mode that are practical. So it teaches you the game through training mode and the different options and features available, while giving you exercises, practical exercises that you can use to improve.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first big chunk is learning the game through the training mode. And it is very, very detailed. You have no excuse. And you also don't have the excuse of, well, I don't have anybody to play with. You're learning through the training mode.
But you got to learn through the quarters on the machine, you scrub.
You hear this guy?
Yeah, I mean, we're Street Fighter V training mode. I've never been a training mode monster at all, but the features of Street Fighter V's training mode, such as guarding after or hitting a button after the first hit, or guarding after the second hit, or after the first hit, that's the stuff where you can really start to expand your fighting game knowledge and then practice real life scenarios over and over, so that hopefully when you fight a real match, it feels like second nature, instead of panicking and wondering like, oh, like what do I do when he hits this button? What are my options? So that, combined with the recording slots, it's like a new dawn of new era of training mode, I guess.
I always, I'll be completely honest, I get intimidated by it. I see people using the training mode and doing this and recording that and put them on the left, put them on the right, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go in there and fiddle with it. And then I see you sit down there and just, this is how you do it. There really is a lot to take advantage, and you should. And if you don't know how to start, check out this book. Let's talk a little bit about Capcom Pro Tour. You were at that first event in, where was it again? In Europe,
it
but
was
where?
In France.
In France.
Yeah. Cannes Winter Clash.
Exactly, that's right. You had to jog my memory there a little bit. How have you felt? Let's start there. I want to talk about the Capcom Pro Tour and your opinion of it, but let's start in Europe. How did it go, and what's your feel for that energy over there in Europe?
It went well. I mean, I think right now, Cannes Winter Clash was such a cool event. I really had no idea what to expect, but it was a tournament within a larger game festival, but not just like gaming. I mean, I've been to a lot of gaming conventions, but they had gaming, VR, tabletop, card games. There were so many people, and there were so many families, younger people. So when they would cruise by the Street Fighter V setups and Smash Brothers, and they would see it on the projector, I think, there was a lot of, 6-year-olds out there that are like, that are going to be like the next generation of players.
That's where the Laura costume design comes into play, getting those 6-year-olds. I don't know why I like this, but I like this. Is that what you're implying?
Hey, that's how I would see it if it were me.
I mean, my son or daughter better damn get a scholarship.
Yeah, well, we'll see, man. That's a whole nother fucking story. Anyway, you were saying, Ryan.
But yeah, I mean, I was really shocked. I guess I never really thought. I mean, okay, I hadn't been to France before, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. But there were so many strong players from everywhere, not just France. So I mean, we're talking like the strongest players from Spain and Belgium and Denmark and Sweden and the UK and of course France and Morocco and Italy. It was just such a gathering point for all of Europe's strongest talent.
You placed well at that tournament. Some people might have been surprised. Some people might not have been surprised. What did you attribute it to? Was it that, I mean, I'll tell a story. I always get blown up every time we go like day one tournaments, and Fubar Duck just shits on everybody. I think he picked T-Hawk against me at one tournament. The point is, was it that first week magic, or is it that Gootecks magic?
I don't know. I mean, it could go maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I mean, I went into it thinking, playing more Ryu than Mika. I felt like at the time my Ryu was stronger. And then when I got over there, to be honest, these guys were beating me pretty convincingly when I was using Ryu. And then through conversation, it became clear that Europe as a whole didn't really appreciate pro wrestling, not like Mika and Dengi, but didn't appreciate pro wrestling as an art form or as, the form of entertainment. So then I was like, oh, well, that's really funny, because it was just me and another, there was one other Mika player that I remember. His name was Rayux. He's a French commentator. Mm-hmm. And so we actually teamed up on the 3-on-3, me and him, and my friend Victor. And just from watching him, I saw that there was a lot of stuff in my own game that I wasn't doing. So I was able to kind of watch him and then integrate some of that into my game, and then was able to use it throughout the tournament. And I think a lot of people at the time were like unprepared for Mika, because I think they hadn't really, I don't know, like over here on the West Coast, it seems like everybody knows all of Mika's stuff, or they did at the time. But over in Europe, not so much. I'm pretty sure now they do. I mean, now with like Luffy doing so well this weekend, and Marn, doing so well at NCR, mm-hmm. I think Mika's now on everybody's radar. You
had some choice words about the European scene, right?
Choice words. I think that the American scene is better right now, but I wouldn't call them choice words.
Do you agree with that, Ryan?
I think the thing is, any scene, it's not a every scene has the same proportion, in my opinion, of players. You have, out of a group of at least like 20-30 people, you're gonna have one guy that's really strong, a couple guys that are like super weak, and then it's like a bell-shaped curve. So I think that curve is pretty much the same everywhere. But what I will say is that their scene is smaller. And I think probably the North American scene is the largest right now. But I haven't been to Asia, so I don't know. I guess it's a toss-up between North America and Asia that have the biggest scene.
You did agree to a set with Mike, and we're all looking forward to that. If I'm not mistaken, okay. You're bringing your Alex. But the last topic I wanted to engage you on before we get to that is over the weekend, I mean, we work at Daily Esports and we cover esports. And over the weekend, I was knee-deep in MLG Columbus, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Mayhem, right? The first $1 million tournament, if I'm not mistaken. It was very exciting.
Whoa.
So I'm watching that. And we were also getting interviews that were coming back to us. You can check those up on our YouTube channel. But one of the guys that was there, who's been with MLG for 13 years, said that they used to always be so scared about doing a tournament with one game only. And now that's the only way this could have happened. So we have Alex Jabali. He says he's going to do a Street Fighter V only tournament. Is that the future for Street Fighter V or individual games to do their standalone tournaments with no other games and forget these massive tournaments with all these other games? With all these other issues that arise?
So, thinking about the way, thinking about the way things are going, I think it depends on the size of the people that you hope to come to your event. As tournaments grow larger and larger and you have hundreds and then thousands of people coming to enter. Logistically, that creates a lot of problems. Number one, your event might stretch over the course of multiple days. Number two, it might run late. There may be a lot of hurdles in, running so many matches between hundreds and thousands of players. So I think it's the logical progression to try to reduce the logistical headaches involved in that. So I don't know if I think that, let's say, Street Fighter V only tournaments or tournaments that are geared only towards one particular game are an intermediate step. But the step after that is to have more tournaments, kind of like Red Bull Kumite, where it's invitation only. Because part of of course, there'll always be a place for open tournaments. And I think Evo is a really great example of how open tournaments can be, astoundingly hype. But I think we're going to see more and more invitational only tournaments because it's just, number one, it's easier to manage. Number two, it takes less time. So instead of having to spend 3 days, let's say 3 days at the event, and really we're talking like 4 days or maybe even 5 days total of travel. That's a big time commitment, for a lot of people. I think we're going to pass that. We're going to start to see just fight card style events, kind of like what we were doing with bar fights back in 2009, where you have like a main event and an undercard and then a couple other opening matches. And of course, that'll be like, whatever, pay-per-view or, that's the direction that I see.
And you'll notice that Danke has moved over to the gameplay set. But the follow-up here would be, will you lament the loss of that multiple title open bracket tournament? That's been the norm for so long. It's what people have come to know and love. Maybe know more than love, but you won't be sad to see it go?
Maybe if I were somebody that was playing all the games, me personally, no, I don't really. To me, less is more. So with that mentality, instead of doing, I guess it also depends on like how many people go. I don't know. Like Evo is always my favorite event to go to every year, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. But like, if I could go to a Street Fighter V only event and just come in Friday, be there Saturday, and go home on Sunday, man, that would, or better yet, see the city on Sunday and go home Monday, man, I like that way better. But that's just me. I'm kind of one-dimensional. I don't play anything else. I don't play Street Fighter, blah blah blah. So I'm a little different in that regard, I guess.
I definitely, coming from a person who came from less popular games, I agree on a base level that, like, now that I'm only playing Street Fighter V, it would be totally sick to not have to, to be able to watch Street Fighter V in its entirety and to be able to play it and actually leave the hotel room for more than 2 seconds at a time. But,
let's get this going. I think Gootecks, you're either going to have to give us your fighter ID or we'll give you ours. This is my PS4, so it should be Lone Star Gamer, capital L, capital S, capital G, and that's all one word. Sorry that we didn't plan that out prior to the show. We had some technical difficulties. But
good.
Mike has been talking. Mike's been saying his Alex is on point. You asked me when I told you before the show, I was like, hey, so can you play the set with Mike? You're like, well, who's he going to use?
Yeah, scout me out, dog. Now.
What's wrong? What's wrong with asking who is going to play? We're just talking about exhibitions, right? This is an exhibition, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't know what this means, Ryan.
Yeah, I know Mike definitely takes advantage of these opportunities to not just, put on a show for the...
If I win even one round, that's getting cut out of context and put everywhere. You'll be having to charge $5 a session at that point.
Hey, I guess the people can thank you for the upcoming sale on Gootecks sessions.
You got your invite. Let's do this. We have comments here. Gootecks, body this dude.
I think he
We
probably
also
there's
have
a very solid
Gootecks
shot of
about
that.
to be embarrassed up in here.
I don't know, man. I've been
I
playing.
mean, the thing is-
I'm not going to John. I have definitely Vega is still my main, but I have been playing Alex hardcore
Yeah.
for I don't even think I've picked Vega in a week. So I mean, I'm trying.
If-
That doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it means I'm trying.
If you think Danke's going to take this, hit me with a 1.
I mean, the
If
thing
you
is,
think
everybody,
Gootecks is going to take it, give me a 2.
I think there's a very tiny minority of the chat room who has ever played you, so
Very true.
they don't know. I know. We played.
What do you know, Gootecks?
I know that we played in Atlanta. I mean, Alex wasn't even out, but yeah, we played in Atlanta. I lost. So to me, I was like, okay, well, yeah, let me get the run back.
All right, so it looks like you're using Chun.
That's right.
All right, let's see what you got. I actually have not seen Danke's Alex in action. What do we got here?
That's not what was supposed to happen.
We have a very special image waiting for our audience at the end of this. What do you got, Mike? We have STL Solo, Seattle Solo, saying, I'm so glad Gootecks is still using Chun. He was using her at Wizard World. Low tier got him, says top tier versus bottom tier.
Whoa, that was true.
All right,
Hold on, I'm gonna turn. Hold on, let me
Arcade
turn
Go
off
says
video. I'm gonna turn
Donka's-
off video.
turn off that video.
Okay, yeah, he had said
Turn
that
off
he
that
needed to turn off
video.
the video. Okay, we
There
don't
we
really
go.
need this lag here. Arcade Go says Donka's looking stiff there. Uh-oh. Ooh, oh boy. That stem roundhouse? What is that?
Oh god.
Harry Rottertrotter says wrong combos with Alex, noob. Z says lag switch activated. NY Crownless King says Donka, show me that dank tech.
Oh, that was sick.
Can dank up here. Oh, that was from the tech video, guys. You could learn that.
Oh, that's unblockable.
Oh, no, Mike. What are some of the properties on that stomp?
That stomp is
It's
projectile invuln at some point, and it's plus on block,
All right.
and it's really hard to steer.
Oh yeah, you can control it. Oh, that's.
Alex
somebody gotta work
actually
on their
cannot-
execution. And that somebody is me.
NY Crownless King again says this is upper body strength versus lower body strength. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Oh. Ouch.
How much does Donka charge is the question for lessons.
Yeah, Donka, let me know if you want to start training people. Oh!
Oh my
I think that just rolled back to a combo, but I'm okay with it.
Nice.
You'll take those rollback
Okay,
combos?
I'll take those rollback only combos. Look at that. I mean, he's squatting. You know, he doesn't need weight apparently, dog. I don't know. I got chicken
This is a
legs.
first to 5,
I've
ladies
got
and
chicken
gentlemen.
legs. I know Gootecks is the deadlift king of SoCal.
Well, maybe in the fighting game world, maybe. Not where at the gym that I train at. I'm one of the weak guys, so.
Ryan, we got a question here about your lack of use of the instant air lightning kick.
You mean that
Oh,
instant?
yeah, okay, good point, good point. It's there. The chat needs to wait for it. I'll stop
Nice.
distracting you here.
I see. I see. It's a 2-on-1.
Level 100 Charizard says leg day is the most important day.
Oh, nice.
Oh, 2 hits!
The parries.
I don't even know how that parry works, to be honest. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Boom! How does that even work? I thought I was expecting the stomp. Look at this guy. He's loving it. Hey, Ryan, please do something to Danke. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to fit him through the door next time. Does that look like Cammy's hooligan throw into grab, or what was that?
It's a different move entirely. They look somewhat similar.
Oh, that one was so good.
What is that, crouch jab, or what
Alex
are you
is down strong and crouch jab are both amazing.
Let's hear it, chat. What do you guys think of Alex? Not necessarily Danke's Alex, but Alex in general.
Oh, I missed the combo. Fuck.
Oh my god, that crouch medium punch is so good.
Oh, look at that. DX legs. So
mediums.
NY Crownless King is educating me here. It's auto parry based on the first hit coming during the charge. Okay. After that, you gotta press
my God.
it, Ryu style, to continue parrying. Oh, that's very helpful. So it is like Ryu's parrying it to a degree.
Oh!
Everything that's 2 hits?
Alex is a stun monster. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
Oh god. Okay, there we go.
Alright, so we're gonna get the combos. I try to visually confirm things sometimes. Online, you gotta make sure you're doing it like by feel.
Okay.
By true feel. It's like Bruce Lee always
Sorry,
said.
I got that Fisher Price internet, man.
Oh no, man. It's
LA internet is.
Alex is solid. Easily my favorite grappler so far. Fix Alex's hair and we good. Alex seems like a clumsy character. I'm not sure I agree with that.
It worked.
Shoot the Dave says he's fun, but I'm not big on grapplers. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and remember we do this every week at the same hour, best of 3 is on Tuesdays, why don't you go ahead and give us a follow or a sub if you're feeling generous, and if you're watching on Xbox or PS4, hop on over to your desktop and give us a follow. Uh-oh. This is looking good. Uh-oh. Oh, goodness.
Alright, okay.
Is that 1-to-1?
It's 1-to-1. I'm having trouble. Okay, so Chun-Li's V-trigger obviously gives her 2 hits per normal.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh, look at
And
this
it makes
image on the
it a
screen.
lot
We
more
got,
awkward. At
We got
least 2 hits per normal.
we got the Battle of the PogChamps. Ryan, I'm going to send you an image of our very own PogChamp. Why don't you cut back to that, Will, so people can see the PogChamp.
I have a funny story about that later.
It's a shame you can't see it, Ryan, unless you're watching the stream on the side.
I'll watch the archive. I gotta preserve all bandwidth here.
Thank you for the correction. If you're watching on Xbox, you do not need... You can follow directly from there. You don't need to go to your desktop. Oh, we got PogChamp versus DankChamp.
Woo!
If you guys need to give some spirit bombs to
Oh, that was sick!
Ryan, make sure to give him some PogChamp faces in the chat, please. Oh, goodness. Oh, God. Sorry. Let's see here. Rowan J says, why play Alex and concentrate when you can just play Mika? Edgeworth Kitty says, Alex is fun, just hard to use. We're getting some PogChamps in this chat, guys. Latch On says, you cannot play Street Fighter V on Xbox. That is true, however, you can watch Twitch on Xbox and this show every Tuesday. Well, that must have been an update, Cammy Suni, because last time I checked, PS4 didn't allow you to do that, but I'm glad that it does now. That was a good mic. Uh-oh. What did I say?
Hell yeah, that overhead poke.
That wasn't. You didn't even hit with the overhead. It just reached far enough.
It just reached far enough.
What happened to all your dash-in setups after power bombs and things?
I mean, the thing, and one of the hardest parts about playing Alex is that he doesn't often get to set up the moves that give him the best setups.
Oh, I see.
So Power Bomb itself isn't that great of a setup tool. It's the air knee smash.
Oh!
Which one is the air? Oh, that's the anti-air grab.
Yes, but Gootecks is a strong fundamental player who rarely jumps.
He's trying to butter you up, Ryan.
It's not gonna work.
Nazo9000 says, "Hell yeah!"
Oh my God, Alex disappeared!
Oh goodness.
Oh wow,
Nice.
nice. Out of there.
He saw that coming a mile away, Ryan. Oh goodness.
Let me go, please.
If you charge that, oh
Nice,
goodness.
nice.
If you charge that clothesline, is it like reuse?
So if you charge the
V-trigger
clothesline
charge?
all the way, it's unblockable.
Okay.
But it's super. It's minus 12 otherwise. If I do the clothesline, I'm typically trying to parry, but I am not a good third strike player, so I miss a lot of parries. And unlike in that game, you can typically avoid it by mashing jab at the very worst because he stops being in parry state as soon as he starts moving forwards. So you just want to wait and avoid it somehow.
Back to the match, guys. This is the 4th match, and we're 2-1 Danke. Donk champ. We got Dunkin' Donuts. Let's see here. Let's read some chat. People don't want to see some perfects. Punch Punk says, use code best-of-3-schooled-Gootecks for a 50% discount on lessons from Gootecks. I don't suppose you're actually going to argue it.
I'm gonna add that in there. No, I'm actually gonna recruit Mike as one of my trainers.
Hell yeah.
You know, to his credit, I've seen Mike coach people up to wins on numerous occasions. Now, Ryan, you do have a Mika though, right?
I do. I could play Mika. Oh, wake up super! I'm so dumb.
It's scrub number one. Scrub number one over here does with his wake up ultra.
Don't try that at home, chat. That's a super crazy read, only for the most advanced of players.
You can learn about him in the lessons from.
That's
Mike's
actually the
Show.
only thing I teach is wake up ultra, and
Do you know what wake up is? Oh,
how
you
to
do?
jump.
Do you know what ultra is? Oh, you do? That's all you need.
Ooh.
Ryan, by all means, you stick with Chun, but we are seeing a ton of comments of here, people asking for your Mika, but chat's not in charge of you, Ryan.
Yeah, I could play Mika. I mean, clearly my Chun is not up to par. Nice. Okay, alright. Let me play Mika.
Hell yeah.
Well, what are we at? What's the score here?
this was 3-1 in
like
the first
3-1.
set.
3-1, but it's a first to 5, and you're gonna break that sweat. But we'll keep the count. We'll keep the count
It's
going.
okay.
here.
Yeah. We'll keep the count. All right.
So that's 3-1. Can I see the dueling PogChamps will, please?
It's actually, and one thing I'll say about Alex, and I don't play him in the cool way, where you do
What's
a
the
lot
cool
of cools, where you stun them and kill them. I play them in the way where I mash down medium punch, because that is easily one of the best pokes in the entire game.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, crouching medium punch. is
It
that's
has
a bold statement.
so it has a huge hitbox both above and below his arm. It's pretty fast at 7 frames, and it goes far. Like, for example, if Ken or Ryu does low forward fireball, you're punishing. And if you have V-trigger, you're punishing real hard.
All right. The score is
All right,
4-1. 3-1. I'm sorry. Hey, here I was the one that was going to keep the count.
My opinion on Alex is that he's kind of a lame character, actually, with comeback potential.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, if you get things started, he can keep them going. But because his power bomb kind of forfeits a lot of Oki, it can be hard to stay super in on people. So I think that's not necessarily the goal.
Ryan, do you agree with that? What's your take on Alex so far?
You know, I played like one Alex, I guess, this weekend. I never thought of Alex as a lame character, but I can see the effectiveness because it works. I mean, it's working definitely. So yeah, it's good.
Right on. Let's see what happens here.
Maybe everybody was playing them all wrong, you know.
Oh, nice.
Whoops.
All right, let's see what Mika can do. See if she's as dumb as they say. And you can just turn it off for your brain and go autopilot. I don't subscribe to that, but let's see what happens.
Oh, I'm too far. Yeah, see, like, oh well. Okay, I see. You're a hold-up guy.
He's figuring you out, man.
Right. Ooh.
Alex seems like he,
Covering up my
Proud Fish Manlord says, Alex seems like he wants to focus on poking for the most part. Starlord89 says, channel your inner Marn, Gootecks.
Oh,
I think I'm too far. Oh, it's too far for my combo. Yeah, an absolute max range counter poke. That won't work, and I was stupid. I was dumb, guys.
Well, at least you're taking it well.
But yes.
Olvaha says, I'm a downright fierce guy. Get it?
nice. Ooh. Okay. Not what was supposed to happen.
Danke, NY Crownless King wants to know, what does Danke think about Alex's costume, and why doesn't he have the jacket costume from the city stage?
I definitely am a
We have
much
it.
bigger fan of the pajamas costume. That's my main, but Efren didn't unlock it because he doesn't have enough fight money.
Dude, why you gotta put my business in the streets like that?
Oh, I should have counter hit you, but I mistimed it. Darn it.
I'm trying to crouch a medium punch.
Yeah, standing medium punch at 6. I don't know what you did, but I'm +2. If you jabbed, you would have beat me. I don't know.
Not see zombie. This commentator is almost as bad as Ski. I'm actually not a commentator. I'm just reading chat. You will never hear me commentate.
Don't let him talk to you like that, Efren.
Yeah, come on, Efren. Okay, I'm trying to figure out the move to beat that with Alex. I haven't actually tested that tech on any real level.
Now people are saying I'm poor because I don't have the costume, and they're saying I can't afford a Gootecks lesson. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Woo! Nice. I think we found the button, guys.
Oh, nice counter poke.
Oh, it's too far. Oh, nice conversion. Oh, right, of course, meaty. That would have worked.
What does Alex's V-trigger do again?
Ooh! Okay.
Man.
Alex's V-trigger is an activation that gives him a new move.
Okay.
His Lariat, which parries during the startup. Nice. Dashing as an anti-air is definitely underappreciated in this game.
Dex is looking good. Mike. Oh. Death Row wants to know, what is Alex's most reliable anti-air?
Standing jab is probably his most reliable. The EX...
Woo!
One sec, let me make some reads.
Oh my god, you got me. Yeah, you got me.
I tried that.
I can't do anything about it. I'm paralyzed in fear and held down by leg. It's good though.
This is 4-2?
So Alex, this is 4-2. Let's just play a first to 3 Alex versus Mika.
All right, I mean, sure. Ryan, do you have time for that?
It's the same thing.
I got all day.
All right, let's do this then.
Round 1.
Shin El Chapo 666 says, "Eat him alive, Mike." Shin El Chapo 666. Come on with that name.
So standing jab is a really good anti-air.
We have a question for you here.
It's low damage.
Sayo KN says, "How do I get out of corner pressure with Alex?" I think we saw you do it
He's got
earlier.
weak reversal options. Your V reversal is a decent option.
Oh, that was good. Nice.
You can mash like that. Stand jab on counter hit will combo into stand strong, which is a decent mash if you think they're going to mistime a setup. V reversal. I like to wake up and wait until I think I can press a button that they'll block, and then V trigger cancel it.
Okay, that's.
Oh, I got baited there, but it didn't work.
Out of there.
Whoa! Was that too far? Okay.
Oh, nice punish.
Jeez.
Yeah, that move's pretty minus. That was definitely a punish. Heavy elbow is pretty scrubby.
I think after that finish, we should see a dueling PogChamp real quick, Will. Because the match isn't over yet. Forget it, don't do it.
That's so good. I think you cracked the code, Mike. Everybody's playing this character wrong.
Really? What do you think he's doing right, Ryan?
Not doing anything.
Yeah. Most of the time I'm losing, I'm like getting a little antsy and then getting rushed down hard and hit by that setup. Ooh! I got bodied. All right. This one's important.
Are we 1-1 now?
It's
you
2-1.
You started
Ryan.
the bracket
No,
again.
No,
This
he
is a best of three,
He's
not a
teaching
first
me
of
how to
three.
wrestle.
Is that okay? If you have a Razor's Edge as your super, you're definitely a wrestler.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Ryan, what do you think of WrestleMania over the
A
weekend?
jumping suplex.
Oh my God, WrestleMania!
Talk about WrestleMania so
The
I can
matches?
win. Yeah, talk the whole time.
Oh my God! Let me cut this promo. Oh, no! Ah! Okay, it's like. Okay, now it's fine. Okay, all right. WrestleMania was it had its moments. Raw last night was so much fun.
Oh, nice read.
Danke, Scotty Osh wants to know how much for a Blaze Blue lesson from Danke.
$1,000,000,000,000.
You have $1,000,000,000.
I'm done with non-Street Fighter games. You've heard it
That's
here. Oh, I got hit by that every time. Oh my God, Ryan, please no.
Do it, Ryan. Do it, Ryan.
Yes. Oh! There you go.
Dash up grab this guy. Oh, God.
Whoa! That's impossible to see online. I'm just gonna chill here and wait. Oh God!
Oh, I could have punished that for a kill. Hell yeah, we'll take it.
That's one round.
All right, boys.
It's not over
you gotta-
yet. It's not over yet.
No, it's over. What? Download complete. No, that was. I don't, you know, the stomp is hard to react to. Period.
Dude, you can't see it. It's.
Nice.
Proud Fishman Lord is asking, should I be using down medium punch instead of stand medium kick in most circumstances? What character?
I gotta
are you
punish that
talking
way
about?
better. Oh, you know what? That actually probably doesn't punish. What is Mika's EX on block? It's like -9 or something like that.
It's super punishable.
Okay.
You could for sure punish with medium punch.
With medium punch, yeah, I'm wondering about heavy. It might be possible. I do definitely suck.
All right,
nice
guys,
block.
this is it. This is tournament point for all the marbles.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Oh, I screwed up. It doesn't matter.
Nice. Good shit.
Well, it's 2-2.
No, that's
Oh right.
okay.
We're
all
doing
right.
the best of 3.
Wait.
Look at how excited he is for this. Okay, he's gonna.
No. What's going on? Let's see what
It's
you can do.
2-2.
It is. Good point. Ryan, what are you going to do to turn this around against our Michael Donkeschiller Esports fighting games expert?
One thing I will note is stand heavy kick is punishable on block.
Yes.
So you can definitely, and it's actually minus on regular hit.
Yeah, it's minus. Okay, I'm way too far.
I
Ryan,
gotta stop punishing that. with
Ryan,
jab.
people are saying you should have watched Donka's Alex Tech video.
Maybe if you guys weren't trying to world premiere it on the show. See, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about like an overarching business plan,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you guys, I'll tell you guys after. I can't talk. I can't
fair
talk
enough.
business and then try to win at the same time. Like,
No, that's exactly what you gotta do, Ryan.
I'm only one man.
All right, well, let me distract Donka for a second. Donka, the question from C-Chun89. When Alex is in V-trigger, should I be doing grabs, neutral jumps, and attacks with multiple hits?
When Alex is in V trigger, it makes it a lot harder for him to parry. Yes, grabbing him is very good in that situation if you read a parry because it will beat it, and multi-hit attacks will often make him screw up. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I mean, if they're a parry-happy Alex player, there's a lot of ways to bait that. The most important thing to do is go into training mode and test exactly how you can evade post like parry activation the clothesline afterwards.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, okay, I'm a masher.
Yeah, not this time.
Woo! Oh, nice. Good shot.
Good games.
Is that
Games.
it? Why don't you come back and join me up here and we
It's
can.
it's.
talk
I
to
will say
Ryan
one
last
thing about
time.
Alex is it's a lot harder to play versus him online. His dash is slow at 19 frames, but that kind of gets nullified a bit, and so things like dash up grab are a little more potent. The way I try to make dash up grab work better is by mashing down medium punch so long the whole
Yeah.
game that they don't like pressing buttons.
Why don't
And
you give us the PogChamp, the dual PogChamp while well, there we go. There it is. Dual PogChamp. Ryan, first of all, let me thank you for coming on the show and playing that set. But why don't you give us your closing thoughts on that match and what you thought was going on with Alex? We're interested in knowing what you have to say.
I like the approach of not doing stuff. I think it's really hard to fight. That's definitely not. I hadn't really thought about it that way. I mean, I guess I didn't think that it was going to be powerbomb every time on Wake Up, but at the same time, I guess maybe I should have just been holding up.
It's a hard
Because maybe you
situation
gotta-
because it
you gotta
means
fight. Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it's like, okay, well, if you get the knockdown, then you would go for the meaty, not the power bomb. But maybe I overthought it. I don't know. I mean, this is all just an elaborate ruse to get Mike as part of the cross counter training roster.
He wants to know where does he
I
send
would
his app?
gladly be a part of that roster.
Yeah, see, so this is what I'm saying, right? Like, you make all these tech videos and you do all this stuff, but if there's not like something to send them to, like for example a premium content subscription site, or a or offering training, then you're just reliant on the daily.esports CPM, maybe.
We're working at. We're a young company. We're basically a startup. We'll get there. But are you talking about? Is your stuff? Is that you're talking about YouTube Red? Are you trying to get some excellent adventures on YouTube Red or something?
Oh no. We're working on a new premium content cross counter site. So the type of stuff, Mike, that you're doing, I think is really, to me that's eventually once this thing is up and running, and then we can provide a platform for other content, fighting game content creators to like monetize and stuff. That type of content is perfect for something like that.
Hey, I pay this guy. You trying to steal him out from under me?
Here's the
paying for exclusivity.
I'm just teasing. What you were saying?
I'm just thinking about like in terms of business. It's really hard to talk while you're playing. And I just am wondering, it must be so hard to do excellent adventures. And I know you're playing a little less seriously online, but geez, I can't even say like my own name when I'm trying to do a combo. I mean, that's hard. I guess I'm just not that talented.
Carrying on, it's two separate parts of your brain, I guess. I mean, I'm just, you guys are in the big fancy studio. I'm just, chilling.
You got the casting couch right behind you, though.
That's right. We do all kinds of stuff that doesn't end up on YouTube there. No, that's not true.
Pickle fights. And Ryan, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. Again, the book, you can get it now. If you don't know how to use the training room, if you want to get better at Street Fighter V, Ryan's got you covered. You can catch, I think you guys are still running through your Alex Valle episodes on Excellent Adventures, if I'm not mistaken, and those have been great.
Thank you.
What else can we look forward to? What do you got coming up, Ryan?
Coming up, we shot so many episodes of the show in NorCal. So we got guests like Infiltration and Cien and Adil and Ricky Ortiz and Filipino Champ. So those episodes are coming up after the Alex Valle set. And then I'm going to, so like I mentioned, we're working on the new cross counter site, which is going to be a premium fighting game content site. So look out for that in the next several weeks. And let's see. Oh yeah, it looks like I'm going to be at Red Bull Kumite in France.
Oh, that's awesome.
On some of the pre-production stuff. So keep an eyeball out for that. The real question is, when am I going to see you guys? Where are you guys going to be?
I think we're at Texas Showdown. We're going to be at DreamHack. It's here in Austin. Mike, when's the next tournament you're traveling to?
As far as just playing, I'll be at obviously the Texas tournaments, Showdown, followed by DreamHack, and then I've signed up for Combo Breaker, which is my hometown of Chicago. I didn't get to go last year because it was the week of my graduation. And CEO, and then Evo. I'd like to make it out to the West Coast. I've never been. We'll see if that's in the cards, but yeah, who knows?
Awesome. Yeah, I heard Rick gave me the heads up on something that they're working on with Combo Breaker. So
spill it here.
No, it's not mine to spill.
If it's anything like UFGT, that tournament's going to be super awesome. That's all I can say.
Hopefully I can make it out there for that. But I would definitely encourage anybody that's in the Chicago area to check out Combo Breaker, because, oh man, I hope I can be there.
That's awesome, man. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time and giving us so much of your time, being generous with it. We look forward to having you on the show sometime in the future.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you next time.
And thank you guys for watching the Best of 3. I'm Scrub number 1. This is Scrub number 2.
There is a subscribe button.
There's a subscribe button on this channel, and it means a lot to us if you do that. At the very least, you can give us a follow. We'd appreciate it. Guys, we're going to close you out on the Dueling PogChamp into credits. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be here next week.